Manufactured Reality by Peter Stein. This is from the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum under Echoes of Memory. These are handwritten accounts by people who were survivors of World War II. Masha Gessen, a Russian-American journalist and author, has been an outspoken critic of Vladimir Putin. Gessen has called what passes as news in Russia as manufactured reality, which refers to the daily stories covered by state-controlled media. Among Putin's historians are his argument that Ukraine is not a nation, that Ukrainians are not a people, and that the invasion and killing of civilians is not a war but a special military operation. The stated aim of Putin's action is to demilitarize and denazify a country of 40 million people, which is led by a Jewish president who is elected democratically by 70% of the population. The ousted head of the leading Russian public opinion research organization states that current Russian propaganda is full of lies and hatred on the fantastical scale. I was first exposed to manufactured reality during the German occupation of Czechoslovakia from March 1939 to May 1945. I did not much realize it at the time, but much of what I heard on the radio, read in the newspaper, and what was told to me by my teachers was the Nazi version of reality. My mother reassured me that my Czech teachers were ordered by the Nazi supervisors to tell us about German military victories, even if they did not believe these lies. On many Sundays during the war, my mother and I, her sister Olga, and my cousins Gertie and Robert would get together at my Catholic grandparents' apartment in downtown Prague. Both husbands were missing. My dad, Victor, was in Theresienstadt. I don't know if I pronounced that properly. I'm certain I did not. And my uncle Leo was sent to Auschwitz. Miraculously, my father survived, but tragically, my uncle was killed. Sunday afternoons were special. It was fun to see everyone, especially my cousins. The major highlight was my grandmother's cooking, particularly her baking. Despite increasing food shortages as the war progressed, she would prepare tasty meals and bake cakes for her family. Another highlight of these weekends would occur after the meal. The BBC broadcasts from London. Grandfather, Antonin, Robert, and I would move into the study where we would listen to it on his German Blapunken. I don't know how to pronounce that either. I'm sorry. Shortwave radio. Grandfather would spread a large map of Europe on his desk and use black checkers to show territory controlled by the Germans and red checkers to show territory attacked and liberated by the Allies. The BBC broadcasts always started with London's Big Ben striking 5 times to indicate the hour, followed by the opening bars of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, and then the announcer's English accent and deep voice saying, "Good evening. It is 1700 hours, and this is the BBC News coming to you from London." After the bulletin of main news, a new announcer would come on and speak in Czech about the progress of the fighting. Grandfather told us that interspersed in the broadcast were secret messages for Czech resistance groups about supply drops, sabotage actions against the Germans, and other code words. I still remember a day in June of 1944 when Grandfather ushered everyone into his study. Uncharacteristically, he was very excited. He reported that recently he had heard a BBC broadcast revealing the landing of Allied forces on the beaches of Normandy. He placed red checkers on 5 beach areas. American troops had landed on Utah and Omaha beaches. British troops had landed on Gold and Sword beaches, and Canadian troops had landed on Juno Beach. Omaha was the bloodiest landing, surrounded by steep cliffs and heavily defended German positions. Many American infantrymen were gunned down by German machine gun fire before the rest finally made it across the beach to the foot of the bluffs, then up the bluffs. Robert and I marveled at the bravery of American soldiers. We were swept up in the excitement of the good news, and we both started to imagine having our fathers back. It was time with my grandfather that I'll never forget. As I was leaving his study, he whispered into my ear, "Don't worry, your father will be all right." At a young age, I experienced what psychologists called cognitive dissonance. What I heard from grandfather and the BBC contradicted everything I was told in school or heard on the radio and saw in the newsreels in the local movie house. As to my question of which side was really winning, I decided that grandfather told the truth, not the Germans. Let's hope your grandfather is telling you the truth. We don't need more indoctrination. We don't need more occupations. Unless you're talking about career occupations that benefit people like doctors. Not corrupt con men, businessmen who can let a casino fail. Who would trick students into pretending that there's a college and then just take their money. Not paying the workers who built his buildings. Or firing the people keeping you safe from tyranny. And gutting the systems that aid you. But you didn't know you were voting for that. Can we listen? You're hearing the words, but you're not feeling it. We got people working right now very, very hard, putting themselves on the line. They were elected to do so. And I'm extremely proud of people like AOC, Bernie Sanders, just to name two. Katie Porter, I'll name another one because she's damn awesome too. Doesn't matter. Because without you, they're so limited. Stop pretending like the government is separate. We the people. We the people. We do have 3 branches of government. Legislative, executive, and judicial. That's what's written. But the unspoken 4th branch of government, we, the people. Yeah, we. We live in the U.S. You know what we did? We allowed places like Facebook, Meta, to divide us. Here's something you may or may not know. We'll start with the cell phones that were paired with Facebook and sent to Myanmar that caused division because the Facebook app didn't count against data, so that way they could just use Facebook for internet, right? So that was their source of internet. So Facebook and internet became synonymous. It was the same thing to people there. And what happened? They allowed a rift between people where one side was vermin and needed to be eradicated. And what happened? A coup. We just saw this. It just recently happened the last several years. And we didn't pay attention. Even though we had people telling us what was going on, we didn't pay attention. You know what Facebook also did? They sold your information to the Trump organization in his first terms. How do we know? There was a court battle. It went to court, then it came out. Did you not see this? Did you not pay attention? Are you not listening? Did you not just hear the Vice News report about the worker from WhatsApp who had to ignore child abuse, had to watch a child beheaded and couldn't do anything about it because the boy wasn't being sexually assaulted? Or the people that they pay to watch child porn? You want to find the people who are responsible for the things you are claiming? It's right there in front of you. Yes, there is corruption, but you know what? The person in charge right now, he's not going to solve the corruption. He's part of it. He's been part of this oligarchy for his whole life. And he doesn't see you as anything other than a means to an end. He's never going to see you. Even if you were sucking his cock, he's never going to see you. He doesn't respect the little man. When is he ever? His history before he was president should have spoken for itself, but it did to the wrong kind of people. Let's look at some other stories in upcoming videos, because I ain't going to stop. There's so many other stories out there from other nations. I'll find some. Keep teaching you, because you need to learn. You need to learn.